back to this special edition of Indianomics, special because we are speaking to the man who knows the ins and outs of the currency management in the country, especially during the trying days of demonetisation. I'm speaking with the just retired Deputy Governor of Reserve Bank of India, Mr. R Gandhi, who was in charge of currency and, of course, markets, market infrastructure, payment systems, all the key departments during those trying days of demonetisation. Mr. Gandhi, how did Reserve Bank prepare for the demonetisation exercise? How many people, I mean, I'm sure you must have had a count of how many vans went and what is the time they took to make rounds from one branch to another. Can you just tell us the highlights of all the entities and all the processes you must have planned?
Okay. Demonetisation is only an related preparations, is only an extension of what we otherwise normally been doing. Okay. There is nothing only done for this purpose. It is.
I agree, but it is 10x.
Yeah, I come to that. So there again we had you have to see the whole exercise in two parallel activities. One related to introduction of new series of notes. The introduction of new series of notes we would have done in any case, whether demonetisation was there or not. Still, we had been planning for this, and that is already publicly announced. Also, it will be coming. So that meant that new series of notes have to be designed. They have to be the related paper, currency paper has to be produced, and it has to be printed, and other inputs have to be gathered. This is a standard production exercise, manufacturing exercise, which we are all along been doing.
Yes.
So that pre-planning was there already. So which should come first, which precedes what, which succeeds what, all those planning was, and how much.
So you all had planned even for the printing paper?
Yes. Okay. The printing paper and the security thread that it has to go into it, and the various type of things, whether it is offsetting or integrating.
So you had a stock of all that before?
Yeah, we had to plan. Yes, before all that. So that planning was already there. What got added to it because of the demonetisation exercise was the sheer number of notes which need to be printed. In the normal course, when we have, if you would be introducing only new series of notes, it is not in exchange of this magnitude. That we could have taken it at our own pace, and the minimum number of notes which are required to be introduced at one go, that much only will be there. Here the exercise was that we have to be printing a lot.
Yes. Something like almost 19 billion notes or 20 billion notes?
That was a calculation we had been doing during the strategizing
No, I'm only going by what was available in the Reserve Bank report, in the annual report in July, that the total number of 500 rupee notes were about 15 billion. And the total number of 1,000 rupee notes was 6 billion.
That's right.
So assuming that 6 billion became 3 billion because it was 2,000 rupee notes, we were going with a number of 18 billion notes. Was that what you all were working with?
If the objective was to meet 1:1, then those kind of calculations they've definitely made. Okay. During strategizing, we have to see whether it is possible to have 1:1.
Okay.
So 1:1 means that many number of notes. That's a simple calculation. It's simple arithmetic. Anyone can do it. So then next question is whether we'll be able to produce that much by what time? Okay. Whether that time was acceptable.
We had calculated that it would be it will take up until June. Was that wrong?
Until June of?
This June. To print 18 billion, RBI would need the printing presses would take up to end May or early June.
That was wrong, obviously. Right. Because in the normal course, we have established installed capacity in all the 4 presses that we know, and we have been operating typically on 2-shift basis.
Yes.
So 3rd shift was available. So that to enhance the production. So then by full capacity.
What about the vans, sir? Reaching the... Okay. Did you all have to plan that?
Yes, that's exactly. Because normally remittances we used to do once away from our offices once a week. Typically that will be there. Whereas this time, because we have to reach 4,000 currencies in so short a while, we have to plan it totally differently. Okay. So we try to maybe create a hub and spoke model. Okay. Obviously, we cannot reach all the 4,000 by ourselves. So we selected crucial points in the country. There we supplied, and we asked those chests to supply to the nearby spoke currency chests. So that's why we quickened the process of reaching out. Then we also normally when we remit, one full load of truck will go to one chest itself, or few chests, 4 or 5 chests will be distributed. This time around, at least one box of 2,000 should be available in every currency chest. That way we saw to it that on the day when we started, every currency chest had new currency. That was a big plan.
A massive exercise. Yes.
And including Saturdays, Sundays, our people had to work. And
did you had to increase the number of vans?
Yes.
Obviously. How many fold?
That every day, because it's all a distributed process, and from the presses, every day cash was moving to the currency chest, to Reserve Bank, and from Reserve Bank to the hub chest, and from hub chest to the
other chests.
So every place we were calling for additional resources.
When did you all start this massive exercise of calling for more vans, calling for more ink, calling for more printing paper?
Luckily, it's all a distributed decision.
Yes.
Right. The hub chests themselves were about 700-800 chests were there. So in all those locations, we asked some USS to reach your spoke chest, how many you will be requiring.
But you could have done that only after November 8th, isn't it?
Yes.
So openly.
Yes.
But before that, could you all do anything without leaking out the information?
Moving the cash, it happened before.
Earlier.
It happened during entire October. Entire October it was moving. Yes, as a part of introduction of new series notes.
So it went in the guise of normal introduction of new notes, so that nobody would suspect. Well, if you think back, we were told that December 31st the withdrawal limits would go away. When did you realize that it's not going to be December? It might take, by how much did you think you will err? Because even I think February end is a very good achievement, considering that our calculation gave us the impression that it might take until May. February is a damn good achievement. So, when did you get the impression that definitely by Jan or Feb I will be in control?
We were watching the pace of remonetization, first pace of withdrawal, and we are looking for symptoms of money coming back. That other denominations coming back. So that started happening in the early January itself.
So that made you confident.
Yes, and we have been watching day by day. We were watching, and the pace of withdrawals came down.
So now you feel we are in normal territory.
We are perfectly normal.
Finally, Mr. Gandhi, you worked under so many governors and deputy governors. And especially in the last 4 terms, it has been very different. Y.V. Reddy, for instance, was a Reserve Bank man. He was 7 years deputy governor, then 5 years governor. So that is one kind of relationship. Subbarao was, was at least there in the system. You knew him as finance secretary and various other positions. The other 2 gentlemen were really new to you. Rajan and Urjit Patel are really outsiders. They were fleeting visitors into India. How does it what does it mean to a deputy governor or to an executive director? Does the relationship change?
Relationship, yes. In terms of comfort, knowing a person earlier, that is one level of comfort.
So Reddy, you are most comfortable?
Because we know him for long years. Dr. Rajan or Dr. Patel, yes, relatively newcomers, but they were youngsters in comparison. So Dr. Rajan was very easy to move with because he had been a professor, moved with students. So it was a very comfortable feeling to be with him. And Dr. Patel, because he was a deputy governor. So again, we had that camaraderie of being a fellow colleague.
How much does a governor impact Reserve Bank? I mean, you are from the ranks. Is Reserve Bank one of those fighting machines which can manage irrespective of who the governor is? Or does the governor make a big difference?
Governors make a difference in terms of their approach to issues that is there. But Dr. Subbarao did mention in one of his speeches that system will not allow governor to commit mistake,
okay.
even if he or she wants to commit. Because we have a well-established process of decision making.
Okay.
Ideas can come from governor. Lot of ideas will come, but it won't be an executive order. It won't be treated as an executive order. It will be debated whether that idea can be fructified, to introduce that what needs to be done, what kind of ring fencing if we see any pitfalls in that. So that's why we go back and forth. That's the way final decisions will be taken.
Okay, so Reserve Bank has a mind of its own and governors can influence it only up to a point.
Yes, I will agree with that.
Well, that's spoken like a career Reserve Banker. Thank you very much, Mr. Gandhi, for dropping by in our studio.
Thank you.